Hello, everyone, and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick live stream Core Pick video for today, March 29th. As always, we'll be doing a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they turned out. Talking about the injuries in play for tonight's slate, it is a 10-game main slate overall, so quite a large one, as we typically do get on most Wednesdays. And then going over to both DraftKings and FanDuel and talking about my core picks over there. If you guys do have any questions at all during the stream, feel free to leave it in the live chat. If you're watching on replay and you have any questions, feel free to leave it down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. I do ask that you note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. But without further ado, we'll get started with the recap of yesterday's picks. Yesterday, I wasn't able to get quite as much information out there. We had baseball practice kind of at a really inconvenient time yesterday since we're practicing indoors. Times do vary a little bit around here, but did get a little bit of an updated core out prior to that practice time. So do apologize for that, but this was the core that we did end up with overall on both sites. So on the DraftKings side at point guard, we had Tyus Jones. He is $5,300, looking for 27.7, got 29.5, so he was a hit. At shooting guard, initially at the beginning of the day, I had Desmond Bane. He had a very good game as well, so if you played him, still worked perfectly fine there. But went to Josh Giddey, went Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Was announced that he was going to be ruled out. $8,200, looking for 41.7, get to 58.5. He was 1 assist shy of a triple-double, which would have got him, over a 60-point game. So a very good hit regardless, though. And then at small forward, we had Brandon Ingram, $8,800. Looking for 44 points time. He got to 46, so he was a good hit as well. The one lone miss on the DraftKings side yesterday was Cedi Osman. He was $3,600. Everybody didn't end up playing for the Cavaliers that we kind of expected not to play, and Jared Allen and Isaac Okoro. However, the Cavaliers just played their starters like monster minutes. Like all those guys pretty much played like 40 plus minutes. The only guy off the bench that really played anything was Ricky Rubio at 19 minutes. Cedi Osman only played 12. And we saw as recently like as the last week or right before Jared Allen came back, it might have been 2 weeks ago at this point in time, that Cedi Osman was getting 20 plus minutes. So if he gets that, he definitely would have paid off at this price tag. But unfortunately, that was not the case yesterday. Then at center, we had Nick Richards at $4,700, looking for 24 points on. He got to 28.75, so he was ahead as well. So 4 out of 5 on the DraftKings side. If you had some other decent plays, you should have cashed pretty easily yesterday as well. And then on the FanDuel side, had Tyus Jones once again at that point guard position. He was $5,600. Was looking for 28 points on. He got a 30.2, so he was a hit yesterday. At shooting guard, we went with Sheev Mikhailov, one of my former Kansas Jayhawks, big Jayhawks fan over here for those who don't already know. Looking for 21 points on. He put up 51 yesterday, so a very monster game for him. I believe he had 5 steals/blocks yesterday, which on the FanDuel side is 15 points alone, so almost paid off at his salary just based on steals and blocks alone, added in like 18 points. Just a really good day for him overall. That Charlotte team was definitely a good team to get a hold of yesterday, whether it was him, Teo Maledon, PJ Washington, Nick Richards. A lot of good exposure there with all the bodies they were missing. Then at small forward, we had Cedi Osman. Once again, he's $4,200. As I mentioned, on the DraftKings side, only played 12 minutes. Got to 7.4, so he's a miss. Just kind of unfortunate there. Didn't play out the way that most of the time it's going to likely to, but the big minutes for the starters instead did not end up favoring guys like him coming off the bench. Then at power forward, we had PJ Washington. He had $7,000. Looking for 35 out of him. He got 58.7, so he was a monster hit yesterday. Scored 43 real-life points. Took that big usage jump. Once again, he got even better once Dennis Smith Jr. was ruled out as well. So definitely a great day for him. And then we had Nick Richards at the center. He's $5,300. Just kind of that safe play there. Looking for 27 points on. Got 26.2. So he was also hit as well. So if you had some other decent plays at that, I had a pretty good chance of cashing on FanDuel yesterday as well. But with that being said, we're going to get off of the recap screen. We'll move over to RotoWire and talk some injuries for tonight's game. I'm going to refresh this once I do get it up here too, just so we have the most up-to-date information, at least on the side here that we do see if anything does change throughout the day. Obviously, we'll be leaving it down in the comments as well. But we do have the one lone 7 o'clock game, which is kind of interesting with 10 games overall, but not unusual at this point in time in the season. So we have the Milwaukee Bucks, who have Jake Crowder and Myles Leonard both listed out for tonight's game overall. Then we have Joe Ingles and Chris Melton both listed as questionable. It is notable the Bucks play a back-to-back, so they will be playing tomorrow as well. Would not be surprised if they rule these two guys out today and then kind of play them tomorrow. It's kind of what they've been doing a little bit as of late. Would not be surprised if Giannis plays tomorrow, doesn't play tomorrow, or excuse me, if Giannis plays today and doesn't play tomorrow. Could be the same thing for Drew Holiday as well. But at this point in time, Giannis is listed as probable, and Gordon Dragic is also listed as probable. So not too much that we can take away from this Bucks team. If Chris Middleton gets ruled out, Pat Connaughton could be an interesting paydown option overall. For the Pacers side, we have Buddy Hield out once again with an illness. We got Tyrese Halliburton and Chris Duarte both listed out once again. So do have some interest in TJ McConnell once again tonight with no Tyrese Halliburton. And then we have Miles Turner listed as questionable to play. He is dealing with a back injury. I do assume that he's just going to end up missing. Pacers really aren't playing for too much at this point in time, so I would not be surprised if he gets ruled out once again. Isaiah Jackson would be my preferred option in that case once again. And then we move over to the Houston Rockets. We have Jae'Sean Tate listed as out, not a major impact for them overall. He's missed like the past 4 or 5 games anyways. On the net side, Edmund Sumner listed as questionable. Doesn't really make a big factor of the rotation either way. For the Miami Heat, we have Kyle Lowry and Jimmy Butler. Both listed as questionable. Lowry played yesterday. Butler did not. They are on the back-to-back, so there'll be news changing throughout the day as well. So we'll just have to keep an eye out on that, but I do assume that Jimmy Butler plays tonight. Would not be surprised if Kyle Lowry ends up sitting out on tonight's back-to-back. Then on the New York Knicks side, we got Dwayne Washington, Dalton Jeffries, both listed out. They don't really play either way. Derrick Rose is listed as questionable. He's been sick, but he hasn't been in the rotation for quite some time. And then we have Jalen Brunson, questionable, dealing with the hand injury. We saw Emmanuel quickly had the monster game the last time out. Definitely priced up a lot more at this point in time. So he's just kind of a high upside option if Brunson gets ruled out. But the range of outcomes for him could vary quite a bit. Would be looking more at RJ Barrett myself personally if Jalen Brunson is ruled out by the time we get to game time. Then we move down to the next one, which is Dallas Max. Honestly, pretty healthy at this point. Maxi Kleber technically listed as questionable, but he sat out the back. I do expect that he plays. And Frank is not really in the rotation either way. Well, the 76ers side, we have both as questionable. Harden's missed like 4 straight games now, so we'll really just have to keep an eye out on him. Joel Embiid listed as questionable, missed the last game, but played the 2 previous games, so I do assume they will play tonight. So not really too much to say there. Moving on to the Lakers, Mo Bamba's stopped at this point in time. LeBron James did return their most recent game, played 30 minutes. Listed as questionable. I do expect him to play tonight, so not really anybody that I'm going out of my way for in this game overall for the Lakers. I mean, if you want to play some Anthony Davis, you can do it. Otherwise, kind of chasing some upside with LeBron James and D'Angelo Russell. D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Davis, technically both are listed as probable, but I do assume that they end up playing once again tonight. Then on the Bulls side, we have Alex Caruso and Javonte Green, both listed as questionable. We'll just have to see if they play or not. For the Utah Jazz, we have Colin Sexton. Lauri Markman's already been ruled out today, which was something that has changed in the last couple hours as well. Rudy Gay and Jordan Clarkson both out as well. And then we have Simone Fontecchio, who is dealing with the toe injury. It sounds like turf toe. I doubt he plays tonight as well. So it could be a little bit of value opening up on this Jazz team. We'll just have to see how it all plays out. And then on the Spurs side, we have Kem Birch, Keldon Johnson, Jeremy Sohan, and Devin Vassell. All this is out. Could be a little bit of value on the Spurs team overall, whether it's Terry Jones, Zach Collins, chasing some upside there. Brandon's pretty cheap at this point in time. Kedabites Diop's around. Most of these guys are priced probably pretty appropriately, but there is some upside to be had there at that because somebody has to take a little bit more usage, a little more shots in this offense, you would assume. Should be a pretty good pace up spot today, too, for both teams, honestly. Then we move down to the Detroit Pistons. Bogdanovich, Burks, Diallo, Magruder, and Isaiah Stewart. All this is out. So the exact same thing we saw last time out. Not really too much else to say there. If you want to take some shots on any of these guys, you can do it. But they're probably pretty appropriately priced at this point in time. Oklahoma City Thunder are on the back-to-back. Lindy Waters and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, both listed as questionable at this point in time. We'll see if any other injury updates do come out throughout the day for Oklahoma City. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander obviously missed last night. If he misses once again tonight, would have some interest in guys like Josh Giddey and Jalen Williams, the forward, not the center. Then we move over to the Clippers. Brandon Boston, Paul George, and Marcus Morris, all listed as out. Assume Nick Batum starts in place of Marcus Morris. He would be interesting if he was cheaper, but for whatever reason, he's not cheap at this point in time. So don't really have too much interest in him. Norman Powell is listed as questionable. He's been dealing with a shoulder injury for a while. So even if he does come back, probably limited at this point in time. For the Memphis side, they are another team, I believe, that's on the back-to-back today. Zaire Williams, Steven Adams, both listed as out. Vince Williams They do have a Q tag on at this point in time. We'll see if he plays or not, but not a major part or any part of the rotation at this point in time as well. And John Morant is listed as they gave him the night off yesterday. He's dealing with a little bit of a thigh contusion, but should be good to go tonight, it sounds like. Obviously, if he is unable to go, then we would be looking at Tyus Jones once again on both sites. For the Memphis Grizzlies, we have Matt Ryan Minnesota Timberwolves. I always mess those two up every once in a while. Minnesota Timberwolves, we have Matt Ryan listed as out. Taurean Prince is listed as questionable at this point in time. He's dealing with an illness. We'll see if he plays or not. Not a major factor at this point in time, especially with Karl-Anthony Towns back. Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, both listed as probable. Jalen Noel listed as questionable. His knee's been bugging him a little bit again, it sounds like, but not too worried about him at this point in time. Kevin Durant on the opposite side for the Suns is listed as questionable. It sounds like he has a chance of playing today. So we'll just keep an eye out on that as the day moves along. Then last but not least, we get down to Sacramento Kings, who are all the way healthy. And then on the opposite side, we have the Portland Trailblazers, who are the exact opposite of that. So we have Justice Winslow, Anthony Simons, Joseph Nurkic, Jeremy Grant, and Baji all listed as out. Technically, there is no Damian Lillard listed here. Let me dig into that a little bit more too as well. Trendon Watford, Cam Reddish, both listed as doubtful. We're going to click over on one of these guys on Portland just to see what it says for Lillard. He might just be where they called him out for the season at this point in time, since they aren't really trying to play for anything at the same time. Let me bring up Damian Lillard here as we're kind of talking through it. Shut down for the remainder of the season. That's kind of what I thought. So that's pretty much what we do have in terms of injuries for today. Excuse me there. So I did hit the wrong button when I was trying to go back on the injury page. I went back on my streaming page instead. So do apologize for that, for anybody that did miss out for that little bit of time there. But back in at this point in time. So bringing these injuries back up once again. That's kind of a quick rundown of everything. But the ones that we'll be watching throughout the day going to be the bigger ones. Kevin Durant. Obviously, if John Morant gets ruled out for some reason, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be a really big one as well. We'll look at LeBron James. If he's out, then obviously we should be getting to more Anthony Davis. The 76ers news with Joel Embiid and James Harden. And then as we move up, kind of some of this Bucks news. And then, Jimmy Butler will watch. Jalen Brunson will watch as well. So pretty simple for today's slate, but definitely a lot of news that could be coming out through as the day moves along. So we'll be updating all that down in the comments below throughout the day. But with that being said, we'll get off the injury screen. We'll move over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So we're going to start off at the point guard position tonight with TJ McConnell. There is no Tyrese Halliburton once again. They haven't been starting McConnell in the recent games, but he's still playing decent sized minutes. He's still a very good fantasy point per minute producer. He's pretty reasonably priced at $6,000. You're looking for 30 points out. I'm currently projected for 31, 32 tonight. Decent matchup against Milwaukee. We'll see who ultimately ends up sitting out for Milwaukee, but do like him quite a bit once again. At shooting guard, we're going with Keon Johnson for the Portland Trailblazers. He is $5,000. He's been playing decent-sized minutes as of late. He's been playing pretty well as well, but his price tag has gone up since he's done all that. So we're looking for 25 points out. Currently, I'm projected for 26, 27 tonight. If his shot's going down, if he's getting the usage, if he's playing well, he might even end up getting the start tonight. He could be looking pretty good overall with all the bodies that they are missing overall. So definitely somebody to keep an eye on. At small forward, going to Benedict Mathurin, a guy that I'm not like super high on in general, coming out as a draft prospect, everything else like that. But the way the Pacers are banged up at this point in time, the bodies that they don't have, playing as a decent pace up spot, they're giving him minutes, kind of being that young player, seeing what he can do. Makes sense for DFS purposes. He's $5,600. Currently, I'm projected for 28 DraftKings points tonight, which just pays off at 5 times value. If you want to play somebody else in the spot, definitely does make some sense as well. Then at power forward, ultimately went with Giannis here. He's $11,600. Looking for 58 points out. I'm having projected for 59. Obviously, he has a ton of upside since he is Giannis. Good matchup tonight against the Pacers. A pace-up spot. If there's no Miles Turner, looks even better once again. Not too much else to say there at this point in time. Obviously, if Giannis gets randomly ruled out, then we could look at somebody else, maybe even Bobby Portis, who would be kind of his direct backup in that case. Then at center, I went with Isaiah Jackson. He's $4,500. We're looking for 22, 23 points. Currently, I'm projected for 24, 25 tonight. I do assume that Miles Turner is going to miss once again tonight. Obviously, if we get news that Miles Turner is ruled in, then this will be a pick that does change throughout the day. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do have here, you have $17,300 remaining, just under $5,800 per player. I do assume that there will be some other values popping up throughout the day. So some of these picks could change throughout the day, but we could also get some other value that we plug in with some of these picks and then kind of plug in maybe a little bit pricier player at the same time as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I have in terms of draft pay. But with that being said, pretty much what I have in terms of DraftKings core picks for today. Gonna get off this screen, then we'll switch over to FanDuel and talk about my picks over there as well. So pulling up FanDuel here real quick. You'll see some similarities at point guard. We have TJ McConnell. He's $6,100, so $100 more on the FanDuel side. Still a similar projection, 31, 32 points out of him. Gets a little bit of benefit on FanDuel because he is a guy that has been known to get steals in bunches. So not the quickest guard in the world, but he is really good at getting those steals. If he can get, multiple steal game, then obviously you're getting a couple extra points there on the FanDuel side as well. But still a good fantasy point per minute guy. No Tyrese Haliburton tonight, so should look pretty good once again. Then at shooting guard, we have Jaden Ivey. Obviously, last time we played him, went off pretty big, and he's still reasonably priced on the FanDuel side. $6,600, looking for 33 points out. Currently, I'm projected for about 34, 35 tonight. Definitely going to have a lot of opportunities with kind of Detroit the way they are playing at this point in time. Should be favorable usage, favorable shot volume and everything for him tonight as well. Going against OKC could be a decent matchup too as well. And kind of, especially if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander doesn't play, it could be a back and forth game in that case as well. Then we move down to the small forward. We got Benedict Mathurin once again. Kind of talked about him already on the DraftKings side, but just a decent price tag. Guy projects out right around 5 times value, $5,400, looking for 27 points out. I currently have 27 points projection for him tonight on the FanDuel side. On the FanDuel side, excuse me. Just a lot of opportunities there tonight. Honestly, not a guy that I'm a big fan of from a real life perspective, but for DFS, the opportunities that he's going to be given tonight, definitely going to have some interest in him once again. Could be a pick that changes throughout the day as well. Then at power forward, we're going right back to Giannis once again. He is $11,600. Looking for 58 points at him. Again, I'm currently projected for 59 tonight. Good matchup against the Pacers, a pace-up spot in general. If there's no Miles Turner, going to look even better once again. Not too much else you can say there. It's Giannis, so the ceiling is kind of through the roof for him on any given game, especially if this game remains somewhat competitive. And then last but not least, we have Joel Embiid here. I do assume that he ends up playing today. I like the matchup quite a bit against Dallas. Kind of the centers that they throw out there, Joel Embiid should have no problem with them. Obviously, if there's no James Harden, he's going to get even more usage than he already gets on a regular basis. Played monster minutes, monster fantasy performance the 2 games that he did play through the calf injury. Last game he obviously missed, but do like him quite a bit once again. Currently I'm projected for 59 points, but definitely has a ton of upside for more as well. Looks like we got Rozo Music here asking a question as well. So odd question for DraftKings. I'm playing the late slate, which last 2 games. What would you consider paying up for, if any? So let me move back over to DraftKings and we'll try to take a look at this as well. So let me bring up DraftKings real quick and we'll try to get over to that late slate just because just want to take a look a little bit more at those games too, because it's going to be an interesting one because I assume that's what the Portland game. Let me see. Portland, Sacramento. So there's going to be a decent amount of value on Portland. And then I would assume Timberwolves and the Suns. So the Suns team just in general, like when I'm thinking through these teams, Timberwolves, when you have Anthony Edwards, you have Karl Anthony Towns, you have like Rudy Gobert all out there at the same time, it kind of limits the upside of everyone. So I'm not really trying to pay up in that spot. If I'm paying up for somebody on this slate, it's probably like a De'Aaron Fox or a Domantas Sabonis. Going to try to figure out some other values from there, but let me go over to FanDuel once again, obviously, and pull up this late game slate just to answer this question. If anybody else does have any questions, we can take a look at some of those questions as well. Okay, so late game slate. Sorry, this takes a minute to load on this computer sometimes, but gotta scroll over. So let's see. 2 games, slate here. Let's click on one. And also, this question will depend like how many lineups you are throwing out there in general. If you're just throwing out like one lineup, probably going to stick to like those king guys in terms of pay up options. But if you're playing like multiple, I'm just going to go over it all. So kind of the pay up options that are available on this late site. Demontis Sabonis, $10,500. Devin Booker is still a very good pay up option, especially if you're paying in GPPs. If you're playing more than one lineup, I would definitely want some exposure to him. Let me see how much they get. They got Kevin Durant at $9,700. Probably not getting it to him, although it is a decent spot against Minnesota. It's just how many minutes does he play if he ends up playing tonight? You could get like a little bit of Anthony Edwards if you really want to, if you're playing multiple lineups, but mainly be playing up for like Fox and Sabonis. If you want to take some shots on Karl Anthony Towns, you could probably do it as well. Could be a tough matchup for him if he's going against Durant, though. Defensively, he might get into foul trouble there as well. But mainly paying up would be Sabonis and Fox. If you want to take some shots on like Devin Booker, you can do it as well. That's pretty much where I'd be for the late game. So Rosa said he's playing 2 lineups. So just in general, I probably would be getting to, like Fox in one lineup, Sabonis in another lineup. If you want to get like some Chris Paul in there, I think he's a decent price as well today. Booker, getting into at least one of those lineups. So he said, I was thinking Booker because Durant may be limited since it's the lower body injury. I'm worried about conditioning. So they've really been kind of babying Kevin Durant on his way back, but I still assume there's going to be some type of minutes cap, whether it's like 28 to 30, even if he does end up playing tonight. Although it does sound like he's trending towards playing at this point in time. But the Kings guys would be the ones I'm most interested in. I want to mix in some Portland value over there as well. Maybe kind of play a couple different Portland guys just between your 2 different lineups. So maybe one lineup you're playing like a Keon Johnson, the other one you're playing a Shaden Sharp, and then like you kind of go back and forth and build out 2 or 3 guys from that team, but like different guys in each game. Just a little bit of different theory that we could throw out there too as well. I haven't messed around too much with the late slate for obviously this slate, obviously. So can't talk too much about it, but that'd just be kind of general theory. But pretty much with that being said, that's pretty much all I have. Going back over to, I'm going to bring up FanDuel here real quick too, just because I didn't go say how much money we had left over after the final 5 core picks, which is not a lot on FanDuel today. Usually I like to leave more, but this is kind of where I'm at this point in time. $18,500 remaining, $4,600 per player. It's going to get a little bit tight at that point in time. So, you're going to have to find some value there. Hopefully you get some value that changes throughout the day. Maybe some of these core picks change throughout the day. If there's a better, cheaper value option that opens up at like power forward or center or something like that, then we can go there. If there's something else cheaper that opens up somewhere else, we can look at that as well. Russo Music also saying thank you so much, family. So thank you for checking out the video. I'm not sure if you're already subscribed, but obviously if anybody is listening and not already subscribed, would appreciate it. Obviously helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports. Pretty much if you're into any type of DFS, I'm going to have videos. Tomorrow will actually be a crazy day because we'll have MLB DFS starting up for day number 1. That is focused primarily on the FanDuel side because that's the one that I play the most of. I'll play a little bit of DraftKings here and there. So if you guys have questions specifically for DraftKings for MLB as well, you can throw it down in the comments there. But and I'll try to answer them. But we got that. We got the NBA DFS for a couple more weeks, week and a half. I can't remember exactly when NBA ends at this point. I want to say April 9th for the regular season. Obviously the XFL DFS, but tomorrow we'll be having MLB DFS right away in the morning. NBA DFS right around this time once again. And then XFL DFS kind of doing a little bit recap plus picks tomorrow afternoon as well. So it'll be quite a busy day, but definitely be worth it. So if you're into any of those DFSs, be sure to check that out. Make sure you're already subscribed. Make sure you have those notifications turned on so you never miss a beat with any of that. And then in the, I believe April 15th will be the first weekend of USFL. So we'll be looking at some USFL DFS once that comes around, doing some previews on some of the teams, kind of talking through them, kind of where my head's at for that going into that first week 1 as well. And then as always, throughout the day, if you guys do have any more questions where you're watching live or on replay, feel free to leave them down in the comments. I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to know whether those questions are more DraftKings or FanDuel specific. Also, throwing up the code for Prize Picks. If you're brand new to Prize Picks, use this code when you first sign up. 50% first match deposit up to $100. Helps you out a little bit, helps me out a little bit. Try to get some prize picks up on my Twitter when I can. Hasn't been quite as much as of late, just a little bit busier at this time, but hopefully today, maybe a little bit tomorrow, get a better chance to look at some of them, get some plays up on Twitter as well. But with prize picks, you can do it for NBA. You can mix NBA, MLB, NHL. You can mix any sport you want together. And as opposed to traditional parlay sites, if you're putting 3 out there, you don't have to get all 3 right. If you're doing a flex play, you can get 2 right and still make a profit. So definitely an interesting site to use, one that I like to use quite a bit myself. If you guys have any questions related to that at all, feel free to message me, whether it's down here on YouTube, whether it's on Twitter at CoachCraigSport, and I'll be more than happy to help you. But definitely would appreciate that if you guys want to check that out. If it's available in your state as well. It's available in a lot of states too, especially ones that traditional sports betting is not legal in as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have for today. Obviously, we'll be updating the injuries throughout the day. We get into as many starting lineups as I can tonight. We'll have an updated core probably about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, probably closer to the 20-minute side, just because baseball practice today getting done. We're about a half hour before lock. By the time I get around to everything, probably be closer to the 20-minute side. But we do just have that one solo game at the 7 o'clock Eastern time. So definitely be updating things throughout the night. So definitely be sure to check out that as well. If you guys do have any other questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments. Message me on Twitter at CoachCraigSport. And then last but not least, also feel free to check out the Patreon page, patreon.com/CoachCraigSports. Small monthly donation. There's some NBA DFS stuff there. There's a lot of stuff over there for XFL DFS as well. We'll be having some stuff for MLB DFS in the coming days, obviously. I'll be working on an MLB DFS cheat sheet once again. Last year, I put that up over at WeBetATS.com. Having a little bit of things with the site over there. So maybe up somewhere else, maybe just up on my Twitter page. I might put it up on my Patreon. I might just link it down here on YouTube. Just trying to figure out what I'm going to do with that at this point in time. But if you guys did check that out last year and enjoy it, be sure to let me know and we'll make sure it's available for you as well. But with that being said, that's really all I have for today's video, for today's live stream. Once again, truly do appreciate everybody that did take the time out of their day to listen in, whether you're watching live or on replay. Definitely means a lot to me. And I hope that each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.